Do you have examples of this increased importance of logistics?
Yes. As you look at the emergence of e-commerce, economics is becoming an increasing part of the equation. And it's really driving companies to become much more innovative and finding better solutions to basically satisfy these orders in an economic fashion. Some examples at FedEx of how we enable the transaction, because let's face it, logistics is what fuels the whole world of e-commerce, which for us it's one of the fastest, if not the fastest growing segment of the market. And within our world, some examples of how logistics is enabling those transactions is a good example, Delivery Manager. Delivery Manager is a tool that we offer that basically enables a customer making an e-commerce transaction to pick the location and the time of their delivery. We have a cross-border offering as a second example where we facilitate the movement of goods across countries, and through those movements we're able to facilitate the whole issue of compliance with regulatory restrictions, requirements, documentation and paperwork. And then finally, an example of logistics and how we enable the whole world of e-commerce is fulfillment, which we, working with our customers, set up networks, warehouses, where their products are needed in a cost-efficient manner. In the end, it's all about having the right product in the right box at the right time, in the right place, in the right quantity. Sounds simple, but it's actually a very complicated process.
Are Latin American companies falling behind in technology for production and logistics?
I think a lot of Latin American companies are actually global, and I really think it has more to do with the environments and the countries themselves that are behind in technology within Latin America. And in essence, I would say yes, Latin American countries have fallen behind in technology, not necessarily the companies that are serving them, but I think it also presents a very significant opportunity. When you look at the emergence of e-commerce in Latin America, it is the highest, right now in the world, right after Asia. And I think this presents some pretty significant opportunities. It's emerging at a rate that's pretty much unprecedented. You look at the average person in Latin America today spends twice as long on the internet as is a US counterpart. And I think this really presents an opportunity. From 2016 to 2019, we're going to see an increase from 56% to 61% of the amount, of people that actually access the internet. So I think this technology and this emergence of e-commerce is going to present some opportunities for companies like FedEx that are uniquely positioned to serve those needs. And in the end, it's about the information on the package being every bit as important as the package itself. And I think the emergence of technology in Latin America, obviously, and supply chain and logistics are going to fuel the growth of that particular segment.
What benefits does a company get from embracing diversity and inclusion?
When you look at our particular company, we serve a very diverse customer base. And in order to serve that diverse customer base, we ourselves have to be diverse to understand their needs. But I think more importantly, diversity and inclusion allows us to capitalize on the strengths of many versus the strengths of few. I always use the analogy of a stock portfolio. You buy one stock, it's very risky because you're going to go up and down with that one stock. But when you have a portfolio of stocks, you basically minimize your risk because you're capitalizing on many versus just one. I think diversity is very much the same way. It's not just the right thing to do, it's also good business. And I think that's what makes diversity and inclusion so important for us. When we look at our own management talent, we look for certain skills in our managers. We look for business acumen. We look for integrity above all else. We look for people that are good critical thinkers, empathetic and resilient. But underlying those 5 characteristics is basically a style of management that promotes diversity and inclusion, and also it's kind of a servant leadership approach to management. So for us, diversity, again, is not just the right thing to do, it's good business, and it allows us to capitalize on the strengths of many versus just a few.